Well, it was a few fireworks and awkward moments with the moderators last night in what is the last planned debate before the November election. Vice presidential candidates Senator JD Vance and Governor Tim Walz setting a much cooler tone last night, shaking hands, chatting, before and after, being friendly even off camera. But on stage, both of them sticking closely to what their respective presidential nominees talk about on the campaign trail. So who snagged those who are still on the fence and needing to make some game time decisions here? I'm welcoming back to the show two undecided voters, Lynne Kelleher from Pennsylvania and Mary Lofton-Soley from Georgia. Ladies, good morning to you. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. I know you watched closely last night. Did you walk away feeling like there was a clear winner? Mary, I'll start with you.
Yes, I thought JD Vance did a little bit better than Walz. Yeah, I did. I thought that he answered most of the questions. They normally don't, but I think he made a concerted effort to answer the moderator's questions. So I will give him a couple of points higher.
Okay. Lynne, what say you? What were your takeaways and the winner of the night?
I think that JD was very smooth. He's obviously more practiced at this kind of thing. I think with Tim Walz, you kind of, what you see is what you get. I can't say that either party. I thought JD had a better event. I thought Tim Walz was really nervous, but I don't know that JD is, if that's the real JD or not.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably asking themselves that about both candidates this morning. And Mary, remind us which issues are top of mind for you and which candidate did a better job of addressing those issues and being more substantive for you.
Well, my issues are the illegal immigrants, the fact that we are pretty much at war, and the economy. And I need someone that I feel that that is a strong entity in the White House right now. We can't be voting for making history. Mm-hmm. We have to understand that America is at the brink of war, and we need someone strong in the White House to circumvent that.
Mm-hmm. Especially on the heels of yesterday with breaking news coming out of the Middle East. That's where they started last night. Yes. Lynne, what issues are on your radar?
Well, one of my top issues, I'm concerned about immigration, but I'm really concerned about world events and how both candidates are going to be perceived and perform on the world stage. I was really surprised that there was no discussion about Ukraine, and there was very little discussion. I mean, they touched about the Middle East and everything, but like the world's on fire, man. Mm-hmm. And I have concerns about both candidates performing on the world stage. The debate didn't really touch on that for me. Mm-hmm. And immigration, again, JD sounded so reasonable last night, which was a rarity. He's been off the rails on an awful lot of things. And I think Walz is really pretty far left in terms of immigration.
Well, I think a lot of different outlets all over the political spectrum this morning kind of hailing him as the winner, or at least being way more comfortable on stage last night. What do you think about the tone of the evening? In such a political moment where people on both sides of the aisle are calling for parties to, tone down the rhetoric. The overarching feedback and analysis from the night seems to be that the debate was, for the most part, normal, civil. Mary, did that go a long way for you?
Yes, I thought they were very respectful towards each other. They really were. I did enjoy that. Optics, I think that JD Vance looked more, presidential. He's fit. Walz looks like, the over-the-hill uncle kind of thing. But so they have a staff. They're different physically, but they were respectful to each other, and that was pleasant.
Mm-hmm. I think that went a long way for voters. Okay, last question. You know what I'm going to ask. Lynne, I'll start with you. Did last night move the needle for you in any way, shape, or form? Are you any closer to making a decision?
It really didn't, because let's be honest, this is the B team. And while they're important, I can't say that it really, swayed the needle for me. I loved the tone of the debate. I just wish it would translate into real world politics.
And Mary, you know who you're voting for after last night?
I won't know. I will still stand that I won't know until November 5th when I walk in, and I will decide. But I will say this, that if I'm pushed and I can't write in a candidate, that's something I would do. It's just more symbolism. If I had to vote for someone, I would vote for Trump, because at least he has ammunition. And I think that Kamala is an empty vessel. So, and at this point in our history, we need to create a very strong zeitgeist for our future. Yes.
Well, we'll see if in the next 36 days, 34 days here, there's a second presidential debate. And if that gets us any closer, I'll have you back if so. Lynne Kelleher, Mary Lofton-Soley, thank you both so much as always. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.